Jim Vaughn. Ladies and gentlemen, you're now tuned into Chat City with P. Ross. Conversations and interviews are in the queue. Listen or join in. Here she is, P. Ross.
Greetings, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to another show, Chat City with P. Ross. I am your host, P. Ross, and I am excited to have in the studio with me today, one, Miss Cynthia Hart, who is the founder of From Ashes to Beauty, and Mr. Terrance Harris, who is the creator of Dreamy Fruits Catering. If you will, help me welcome them in today.
Thank you for inviting us here.
All right. You're welcome. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I'm one who likes to spotlight those that have success stories, because I think it's important to hear somebody's story, especially when they came from a low or from something that was tragic and they turned that negative around into something positive. And that's what my guests have done today. We're going to start with Mr. Terrance Harris, who is the owner of Dreamy Fruits Catering. All right. And I'm going to just tell you how I met Terrance. It was actually a few months ago when I was on my way to do a show. On this particular day, I believe it was a Sunday, because I was doing a show here in the radio with someone else on Sundays. And I had a relative who was doing a pop-up shop in our hometown. And so as I went to go support her, there were others there that was doing other things as well. And one of the people that tent or products caught my eye was that of Mr. Terrance Harris. And so I was immediately drawn to the tent that he had out there and his display of fruits and desserts. Terrance, I'm just going to go ahead and give you my house applause on your display from that day. All right. Not only did he have a nice display, he had some wonderful, tasty treats underneath there. And I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you. Are you up on your microphone?
Can you hear me better now?
That is so much better. Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, so I think I got some type of banana pudding treat, or maybe actually something with fruits and a whipped cream topping or something. I don't remember, but it was really, really good. And I was like, wow.
Yeah. Yes, I remember.
Okay. All right. And from there, I got his card. We kept in touch, and I was able to hear his story. And when I say his story, well, he was on his way then to doing some amazing things for the locals there in his community, but mainly for himself. And so, Terrance, let's start from that day when I met you doing Dreamy Fruits. Tell us why you were out there.
I was out there, basically I was out there selling fruit cups.
Mm-hmm.
I had different kinds of fruit cups. I had, what did I have? I had, because I have different varieties of fruit cups now. So when I first started, I had two different kinds. I had a plain fruit cup, which is plain fruit. And then I had a fruit cup with fruit yogurt in it, honey graham crackers, peanut butter Kneecocks, a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
And I think actually that's what I had, something with the graham cracker
yes, ma'am.
pieces in it. It was really good.
And I had a fruit plate display out there, and it caught people's attention, and that's what I do. I cater birthday parties, weddings, just cookouts, holidays, and that's what it turned into, and that's what's been keeping it going.
Okay, so that day that you decided to go there with the others who were doing their other displays, like funnel cakes and barbecue plates and things of that nature.
Yeah, at the time I was going through a rough patch and in my life as well, and things was getting kind of rough. I lived by myself, so bills, financially, all kinds of things. And a friend reached out to me. It was perfect timing. Shantae Barnes, and she was like, "Hey, we got this spot where we can set up and we can sell our products, and you're welcome to come tag along, you know. And it was perfect timing, and we secured a spot every Sunday, and we did about 2.5 months, and it turned out great.
Good, good. Now, at that particular time, had you considered yourself a chef then, or take us back to when you first started doing Dreamy Fruits? How did that begin for you?
I established Dreamy Fruits in 2021.
Okay.
In June, right before Father's Day, and it created itself. God worked in mysterious ways.
Yes,
I had made a fruit platter for my mom,
Mm-hmm.
and her home. I made one for my home, and I had made one for my favorite aunt's home. And I took a picture of them and posted them on Facebook, and people were delighted by them, and they liked them, and they started messaging me, inboxing me. I was like, hey, you think you could make me one of those?
Well, had you had any cooking experience prior to that?
Yes, ma'am. I've been cooking mostly all my life.
Okay.
Since 17,
All
I've
right.
been cooking in restaurants, different restaurants here and there. And then it went to country clubs and golf country clubs. And now I'm actually on my way to going to school, to culinary school, actually, to become certified. So
Okay. Well, we're gonna give you a hot applause on that
yes, ma'am, thank you. And I'll tell you more about that later on in the show.
Okay. Well, okay. So you decided to go ahead and call yourself a chef before it became official, but I like that
Yes, ma'am.
because there you go, speaking it into existence. I love that. All right. So Terrence, what was you doing before you started working in the country clubs, cooking and doing things of that nature?
I was working at Goody's clothing store, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I was 16, and I was cashier, just working there. I had an aunt that worked there, so she helped me get a job. I was young,
Mm-hmm.
and I've always been a ladies' guy, so I would always attract to the ladies there and always try to get them discounts and stuff when
Oh,
they
wow.
come through my line.
Okay.
Yeah, and it led to trouble, and
Okay.
and it led to me losing my job, and it led to me learning how to grow up and learning, the do's and don'ts in life, and so after that, I went to cooking, and so I started cooking and at Golden Corral,
Mm-hmm.
actually in our local town, and got good at it, and then what else do you want to go into? You want the whole story?
Okay. Now you did mention that you dealing with the women there on the job kind of led you into some trouble.
Yeah, well, it wasn't women on the job. It was customers would come in, and I, flirt a lot, be flirtatious, and give out discounts when I wasn't supposed to give
okay.
out discounts. And
Okay.
led to trouble. That's
Okay.
what I meant by
All
that.
right. Okay.
So kids, when you're young, don't be playing around with people's jobs and people's money, because it's not cool.
Okay.
And it'll bite you in the long run.
All right. Now, Terrence, you did share with me some time ago about you decided to do something even a little, I'm going to say, something not as cool as what you were doing on the job, right? So you did mention that you did decide to dabble in a life of drugs. Do you care to share that today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right.
Yeah, like I said, I started cooking and it started out okay. And I started dating older women. And dating older women came with responsibilities with, financial, with kids and all that good stuff. So I started getting attracted to faster money. So I turned to the street life just like any other kid in our neighborhood growing up in the hood. We look to fast money. And it comes fast and it's easy to get. So got caught up in that.
Mm-hmm.
Not to get too much into it, but yeah, I got caught up into that life, that lifestyle, and ended up going back and forth to prison for it. Did a few years in prison, and I'm 2.5 years home now. I did 6 years, and haven't touched any drugs since then.
Okay.
And doing quite well, doing better than I was when I was selling drugs, actually.
All right, that's great. Now, let me ask you this. At what age, you said you started dating older women, which is fine. There's no problem with that. What age were you when you started this lifestyle of selling drugs?
It was early, actually. It was 17, actually. Right after I lost my job at Goodies. It's crazy, but that's the life that yep.
Did you not think maybe seek other employment versus turn into that lifestyle?
Yeah, I've always had a job. It's just the job was never enough, you know.
Okay.
You get a job and that's one and a half bills, 2 bills, and you know your check is gone. Versus in a couple of days you make a couple thousand and you can pay all your bills. So when you're young, you look at it that way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So did the women that you were dating and trying to please, were they aware of what you were doing?
Of course, because you live with these people, so of course they know what you're doing. But you know, it's just a lifestyle. It's what you're accustomed to. So
okay, Terrence, did at that particular time when you were doing that, did you think about the people that you were selling to and what they were doing and how it would affect them and their families?
No, ma'am, not at that time, not at that particular time. No, ma'am. I didn't. I was just, thinking about living, life, paying bills, and just trying to make it through the day to the next day. That's all. I wasn't thinking beyond that.
Okay. Now, you said you ended up, I guess, getting caught and having to do time. Tell us about the moment that you did get caught and what that was like for you.
The moments I did get caught, God would wiggle me out of it, and, I wouldn't think too much on it. I would, be happy that I would got out of the situation and get back into some more trouble, growing up. But when I finally got in trouble and had to sit down, it changed my life.
Okay. When you say trouble, what do you mean?
When you have to go away for years.
Okay.
And not months, not weeks, but years on the spot, and you lose everything you have, and then God gives it back to you again and gives you a second chance. You kind of, think on it differently. You kind of appreciate things more differently when you're given a second chance. So.
Okay.
Yeah,
so the first couple of times for you was like a little slap on the hand, and you thought, okay, well, that was nothing. I served a little jail time, and I can do it again. You thought you could beat the system. Is that basically how it went for you? And then you got into more trouble to where you said you went away for years. Is that?
Yeah, you can say that.
Pretty much how it happened?
Yeah, you can pretty much say that. That's pretty much how everybody, goes through it. They, try to get away with it or, do it in a, but it doesn't work out, so.
Okay. All right. So when you were in prison, I guess you could say, what thoughts were running through your head as you was there? And
just coming home to my family.
Okay.
Just being home with my family, my mom and my brother, and, being there for my aunts and, my girlfriend at the time. I wanted to be there for her, so just missing home, and trying to get back home and just doing what's right so I can get home. So
okay, when you said doing what's right, tell us about that. Go into detail about that for us, please.
Just staying clear-minded, just staying focused, and just staying out of trouble. Just so I can come home and then get focused to get where I'm at now.
Okay, so you're saying while you're in prison, there's temptations there?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. And so what were some of the things that you chose to do to avoid the temptations?
Uh, it's all kinds of things to do. TV, outside time, workout, find a job. You have radio. It's plenty of things to keep your mind occupied. So I kept my mind occupied, kept a job, and stayed in contact with my family.
Uh-huh.
Spent a lot of time with God. Read a lot of books. Spent a lot of time on me. You know, learned a lot about myself, and it helped me grow a lot. And to the person that I am now, be more aware of things. But there's no place for anybody. Anybody.
All right.
There's nothing to glorify. So.
If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Chat City with P. Ross. I'm your host, P. Ross, and we're on Oak 93.5 WRLY Raleigh. I have with me as my guest today, Mr. Terrance Harris. He is the founder of Dreamy Fruits Catering. And we also have Miss Cynthia Hart, who is the CEO of From Ashes to Beauty, which is a program that assists with domestic violence victims. All right. We've been talking to Mr. Harris, and he's been sharing with us the start of his successful business, Dreamy Fruits. But he's also been open and been sharing with us the things that he went through before he got to where he is now. And he has told us about his life of doing some crime. And he has chosen to walk away from that to do what he's doing now, which is doing some great things with his cooking skills.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Terrence, let's pick back up from where we left off. When you were in prison, your family, you said you were waiting to get back to your family. You were self-evaluating yourself and finding things that you could do to be a better person, pretty much.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Tell me what family was doing or saying to you while you were incarcerated. Did they keep in touch with you?
Yes.
Okay.
My mother mostly. Aunt, they prayed with me, kept the word with me. Just gave me good advice, kept me encouraged. Sent me cards with encouraging words on them all the time, out the blue. That means a lot when you're in there, when someone's thinking about you. They was just there for me. So you want to return that. You want to be there for them. And when you can't be there for them, it hurts. So that's the most part about, being locked up.
Now, those women that you was doing this lifestyle for, did any of them keep in touch with you while you were there, incarcerated?
Yes.
Okay.
I had a great woman that was with me. She was with me the whole time while I was in there. It's not like I was with bad women. It's just didn't work out,
Okay. All right. You mentioned God. Were you a Christian? Are you a Christian?
Yes, ma'am. I believe in God.
You believe in God. Okay. Were you? Did you have this belief before prison, or
yes.
did it come during?
Yes, I had it before prison.
Okay.
To be honest, I could share a story with your testimony, actually.
Go ahead.
Right before I went to prison, this is, what really opened my eyes up. I did 5.5 years, almost 6 years in prison. 5 years, 7 months to be exact. They gave me 7 to 9 years, habitual felon. I had been getting in trouble in and out throughout my teenage years, and I didn't know much about the law, and I had found myself into this habitual felon category, and I didn't even realize it. And with that, they can give you a lot of time for little crimes. And that's what happened to me. So I ended up signing a plea for 7 to 9 years. And right the day before the day I got sentenced for that, the judge, I don't know what happened or that day, but right before they sentenced me, he looked at me and he looked at my lawyer that I had hired and the DA, and he called them up and they talked and whispered, and then he took 2 years off my sentence.
Well,
I
that's
don't know
God looking out
why,
for you. I'm gonna say.
but he did, and it was, I was thankful, but it was still a lot of time. But I said, when I get out, I'm not gonna get in any more trouble. I'm not gonna do that anymore, and it's just he set it up for me that way. So I didn't do anything. He did it all. So.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the story afterward that I would like to share with everyone.
Awesome. Okay, so the moment that you got out, what did you do, Terrence?
The moment I got out, I had a guy named Mr. Keith DeMayo. He ran Golden Corral. I told you guys I worked at Golden Corral, and I worked there basically 12 years of my life.
Uh-huh.
And the guy that was running it at the time, the general manager, he ended up opening up his own restaurant in Pinehurst, North Carolina. And I had about 2 years left on my sentence. And my parents would go into his restaurant to eat from time to time. And he would tell them, when he gets out, tell him I got a job for him. And I had 2 years left at this time. So I'm like, okay, all right, tell him thank you, all right. And,
Wow.
So as I'm getting closer to coming home, he sent me a word again, I got a job still waiting for you when you come home. I'm like, okay, all right. So I came home, and a week later, I stayed home about a week, enjoyed myself, just enjoyed being with my family, being home. And after that, I said, I got to go find a job. I said, I'm going to go see that guy. I just want to tell him thanks for asking about me,
Mm-hmm.
And I went to go see him, and he said, you ready to work? I said, yeah. And I explained him my situation, and, he was like, man, that's fine, that's cool, and I've been there ever since, working there ever since, and
Okay.
it's really helped me get to where I'm at now. So I thank him, and I thank God for that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Terrence, you recently lost your mother. Saw that on social media. And I know that must have been very hard for you.
Yes, ma'am.
You were very close to her, weren't you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Share with us some things about your mom.
She was a very sweet lady. She was she was my best friend. She was there for me. She was there for a lot of other people. She was a very godly woman, very Christian woman. She loved God with all her heart.
Mm-hmm.
She was a family woman. She loved her husband. She loved the kids. There's so much I could say about her, but I won't go on and on and on. But she was awesome. She was great. She was my best friend.
Awesome. What things did she leave with you far as your business? I'm glad she got to see you start that, but tell us some things that she may have shared with you that you'll carry with us.
She left
with
me
you.
a lot of a lot of cooking skills, a lot of recipes. I would call her and I'd be like, Mom, what do I put in this banana pudding? And she just put a little bit of this and just put a little bit of that. Or I'll be cooking something at the house, anything. I'm like, Mom, I'm trying to cook these neck bones in the crock pot. What do I need to put in it? And she'll tell me what to put in it, just a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And I'm like, all right. And then after it come out and after I eat, I call her, it's good. It ain't came out good.
So wait a minute. She said a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So does that mean you didn't use any measuring utensils?
Oh, no. Oh, no. We cook soul food around.
Okay, soul food means no measuring utensils. You just pinch a little here. And
to the
grab a little
taste.
bit. Okay,
Yeah,
to the taste. All right. Tell us how you came up with the name Dreamy Fruits.
Sitting in my mom's front room with my mom and dad, actually. When I brought them that fruit platter, we was in there joking around, trying to come up with a name for it, because people were asking me for these trays. And I didn't know what to call them. And my dad was like, well, why don't you just call it Dreamy Fruit? And I was like, you know what? That's kind of catchy. I like that, actually. And so I started calling it Dreamy Fruit. And I have a little cousin that makes T-shirts named Kira Toomer. And one day out the blue, she just comes up to me with like 3 shirts with a logo on it and everything. Like, hey, I made you some shirts for your business. And I was like, wow, I like these. These are nice. And so I've been sticking with that ever since.
Okay. I like that title, too, or that name, Dreamy Fruits.
Tasteful.
All right. So what can we see from you, Chef Terrance, within the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, I see myself having a building, a little dining cafe of my own, and running it, and also running a food truck as well for my Dreamy Fruits establishment. So that's why I see myself in the next 5 years. The next 2, going through school, actually becoming a chef, and getting it established and getting it behind my name. And then the next 3, doing what I need to do.
Well, let me say this. When I first met you, you had already, and that's where I give you another house applause, because you had already envisioned that you were that chef and you embodied a chef. I mean, you had the chef hat on, you had the apron, you had the display, you were set and ready to go. You were serious about it then.
That's all right.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
And
ma'am.
so I know
Thank
you have nothing but more success coming towards you and your way, and I wish you the best.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
If you've been listening, you're listening to Chat City with P. Ross. I'm your host, P. Ross. I have in the building with me today Chef Terrance Harris of Dreamy Fruits Catering and the lovely Miss Cynthia Hart she's the founder of From Ashes to Beauty. From Ashes to Beauty is a program that help others that have dealt with domestic violence. Cynthia provides community support and resources to victims of domestic abuse. Ms. Hart herself was a victim of domestic abuse when her significant other chose to pour lighter fluid on her and set her afire. She sustained 2nd and 3rd degree burns on 27% of her body, and she lived to tell about it. Cynthia, thank you for coming to the show to share this story on Oak 93.5. Take us back to the day when this horrific incident happened to you.
In 1987, on a Sunday evening, around 2 p.m., is the day. On that day, they were calling for an ice storm. And little did I know that I would be in the storm of my life. But God is so good because God brought me through it. On that day, it actually came to a head on that day. But there were things occurring, basically I would say 1 month out from Christmas. So it was 1 month later that I was going through what I was going through.
And when you say it came to a head, do you mean a dispute with the significant other?
It was a dispute with the significant other because there were infidelity going on.
Okay.
And church-wise, he was attending church.
So wait, I must ask, the infidelity part, was it on you or from him?
On his part.
Okay.
Yes, and it got to the point where he wanted to be out and do things that he wanted to do, and then I just told him let's take a break. He didn't want to hear that. So my thing was, if it's not going to work, then if you want to be out, go ahead. But you do what you do, and if God intends for us to get back together, it will happen. And he didn't want to hear that. So, anyway, it all ended up to if it's either me or no one. And it came to the point where he was going to be, it's to death to his part, basically what he said.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously that's what he attempted to do. But thank God.
Amen.
You know, he doused me with chocolate fluid. Went to the garage, got chocolate fluid, came back out, said, what's going to be? I said, it's not working. So he said, what is it going to be? And I said, that's it. It's over. And then I began to be squirted with chocolate fluid.
Did you know he had it in his hand? I mean, did you hear him go out to get the chocolate fluid? Or?
Yes, he
Okay.
went to the garage. I didn't know what he went to go get. He just said it wasn't going to be. Well, we're going to work this out. And then he disappeared. He went into the garage. I knew he went down the hall. So he went to the garage. When he came back, I noticed he had changed the coat. He had gotten a gray coat from someone for Christmas. Had a lot of zippers on it. Kind of like the Michael Jackson zipper jacket.
Mm-hmm.
But he had changed out of that coat into an old coat that he would go to work in. And I was like, what are you doing with that? What are you doing? And then he said, what is it going to be? And I said, there's nothing. It's not going to be anything. And then he zipped his coat down and pulled out of his bosom the chocolate fluid.
Wow. And so, I mean, did he quickly start dashing it on you?
He
Or-
asked me again, and when I said, it's not going to work, and then he started squirting.
Wow. So what was going through your mind when he started squirting
I
you?
said, you have lost your mind.
Mm-hmm.
I said, oh my God, you have lost your mind. And he was still asking me, what is it going to be? Well, I knew we had gotten to a point of no return when that happened. I mean, I there was no way around we couldn't work this out. So I just said it's not going to work. And then it went from one thing to the other. And then he pulled out matches now. He wasn't supposed to be smoking or drinking or doing anything. So I was wondering where was the matches coming from. But not only did he have matches, he had a lighter. So he had already thought about what he was going to do.
Wow. I imagine this was happening so fast you really didn't have time to really piece all together what was going on.
I didn't. I didn't know that he would go to that extent.
Mm-hmm.
No, I didn't see any signs like that. No.
Oh, okay. How long had you known this person?
I would say this happened when I was 29 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably had, I would say I was probably 19, 18,
Mm-hmm.
because I married him at 21, 22, something like that. It was 1980 when I married him, and it happened in 1987.
Okay. Wow. All right. So he did what he did. And then, I mean, do you have any memories of that, or did you just wake up in the hospital wondering what happened?
No, to God be the glory. I knew God was with me through everything. I did not wake up in the hospital. I was talking to everybody when I went to the hospital. They even checked me to make sure I wasn't in shock. But God was with me through it all. So, no, they wanted to check me to see if I knew who the president was, where my location was, and all that stuff, what year it was. I gave them all the information. It was the worst pain. I thought having a baby was the worst pain.
So let me ask you this. When he poured the fluid on you and then lit the match, what did you do?
I said, "Oh my God, what are you doing?"
Mm-hmm.
And before he lit the match, there was some running and tossing going on, and of course my only child at the time, my oldest son, was there, and he was 11 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So of course I was telling him, "Run, run, run, get out of the house!" But he had scared him and frightened him, and told him what he was going to do to him if he came out of the house.
So he was threatening your
He
son
threatened
as well.
him as well.
Wow.
He was afraid to come out of the room.
Mm-hmm. Who got you to the hospital? I mean, how?
He actually called when he realized what had happened and it was real. He actually called his parents, and they said, "Oh my God, what has you guys done to your marriage? What have you let the world, the people out in the streets, do to you all?" And so it went from one thing to the other. But no, and about the match, me being set on fire,
Mm-hmm.
before that actually happened, he was throwing matches after he had done it, and I was beating him out, just taking my hand and beating him out and say, I was talking to him, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this?" You know, and then it ended up with him. Somehow I was able to push him back, and I ran into the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I locked the door, and I was trying to get out the window of the bathroom, but he took his foot, and the print of his foot stayed in the bathroom door for years because, of course, wasn't able to change a lot of stuff around at that time. But now that footprint is gone for years now.
Mm-hmm.
But he kicked the door open, caught me by my arm, and slung me back in the room and to get me out of the bathroom. And so I lost my balance. But when I got up, he was trying to make a torch out of newspaper. And he did. And I think once he realized that the match wasn't going to work, at that point he had a lighter. And he lit it. And once he lit that, I think I knocked it out somehow or another, but kept beating it out. But I somehow pushed him off balance. Once I knocked him off balance, I was able to run down the hall and could have gotten away. But mind you, I said there was a winter storm coming, and it was the wind was getting up, and it was getting ready, the rain was coming, the icy, and all that stuff was coming. He, on the other hand, was getting himself back together. So I was getting ready to run out the door, and it hit me that I could not leave. I could have left, but then I realized I could not leave because my son, my 11-year-old son, was in his room.
Mm-hmm.
And if I went out that door, if this man was going to do that to what he was going to do to me,
Mm-hmm.
God forbid what he would have done to my child.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that I was still not free. So I turned around and went back.
Wow.
And when I went back,
Uh-huh.
that is when he lit the paper. And I said, listen, somebody's going to get hurt and somebody's going to get into trouble. He looked as though he was going to turn away and that he had heard me. But when he turned back and he looked at me, and I looked into his eyes, they were so red. So I realized I was faced with the enemy within.
Mm-hmm. If you've been listening, you're listening to Chat City with P. Ross. I am speaking to Miss Cynthia Hart. She is the founder of a wonderful organization that helps victims of abuse. And the name of her organization is From Ashes to Beauty. She has been sharing her story with us on her abuse from someone who was supposedly loving her, but decided to do some things, evil things to her before a breakup. She's been sharing this story bravely. Miss Hart, let's pick up from the hospital. You were in the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
and you were being asked questions from the nursing staff, the doctors, trying to figure out how coherent you were during this situation, and you were answering all the questions perfectly. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. What happened from there?
Well, first of all, I was taken to 2 hospitals, but I was so my injuries was too severe for one hospital, so they sent me to the hospital at the JC's Burn Center.
Mm-hmm.
And the JC's Burn Center was where, when I went in there, they asked me, who I was what was my name and all that. And then they wanted to know, did I know what hospital I was in? And I told them. They wanted to know, they told me that I was at the best place for the type of injury that I had sustained.
Okay. And tell us about your injuries.
My injuries were the worst pains ever. I would not wish it even on the person who did it to me. I never would want anybody, if I had a choice, to go through what I went through.
Mm-hmm.
The pains, the injury I sustained, 27% of my body area was burnt. I sustained 2nd and 3rd degree burns. Actually, my elbow was showing, the bone was kind of out. That's how, it had burnt the skin off of it.
Mm-hmm.
But over time, it kind of, things have came back together. I had 2 surgeries. Stayed in the hospital about 6 weeks. I was allowed to come home on the 4th week, but I had to go back again because some of the areas hadn't healed up well.
Okay, while you were in the hospital healing, one of the questions you asked the hospital staff is, where are the people that have suffered burns like me? You wanted to see them for some reason. Tell us why you did.
Well, I saw the people going and coming, getting their treatments,
Mm-hmm.
but I wanted to see what life was going to be like for me outside of the hospital.
Mm.
I wanted to see how I was going to be able to blend in with my new world, because it is a new world.
Mm-hmm.
I knew there was love in the hospital because they treated me like I was that special.
Mm-hmm.
Even down to taking me out, getting my hair fixed and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But why did I want to know about the people outside of the hospital that had gone through what I had gone through with? I wanted to know what my life was going to be like.
Mm-hmm.
And talking to someone who already had gone through what I was going through with, I would have wanted to know how well they were coping
Mm-hmm.
outside of the hospital. Because I was coping okay as long as I was in that familiar place with those people who were taking care of me. But I knew one day that they wouldn't be there for me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to meet someone and see some of the individuals on the outside of the hospital who was living their life.
Okay, and then the staff, I believe, told you that everybody was gone. There was nobody there for you to really see. Is that correct?
Correct, because the ones that I was seeing were coming to get treatment.
Okay.
And so I wanted to see someone who was living their life.
Uh-huh. And so from there, I believe from ashes to beauty was birth. Is that correct?
From there, Ashes to Beauty was birth, and that was after I got out of the hospital,
Uh-huh.
went back to work. My supervisor wanted me to come back as, I was listening earlier, there's a job. I had a job waiting on me, the same job that I left. So I went back to my job and stayed there, and then they closed the job down, and that was Proctor Silas.
Okay.
They had, they didn't completely close the job down, but they rifted us. So we had the opportunity to go back to school. So I got a chance to go back, and I got my associate degree, and that was in human services. And that was just the beginning of the foundation for me, where I was able to go back
Mm-hmm.
to UNC Hospital
Mm-hmm.
and do what I wanted. I wanted a peer counselor that had gone through what I was going through with. So I went back because they didn't have anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew I could stand in their shoes. I had empathy for those people because I knew that was so needed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went back. So when I had to do my field placement and my internship, I did it there at the UNC hospital. I drove all the way back from Moore County.
I'm going to give you a house applause on that. All right.
So I drove all the way back there.
Uh-huh.
And I began to go into the rooms. And that was before OSHA and HEPA and all that stuff.
Okay.
So I was able to go into the rooms. I would get calls when the hospital had somebody that needed somebody. And they called me in, and I gladly went.
Mm-hmm.
And when there was someone who I went to peer counsel with, and they weren't responsive, they would tell me to talk to them anyway because they could hear me. And I would go in there and I would talk to them and encourage them. Some made it, but when they had someone who didn't make it, it was heartbreaking for me.
I can imagine.
Because when they told me that they didn't make it, I would say, "How is so-and-so doing? How is," I would call up to check on them and stuff. They're not doing, or I'm sorry, Cynthia, they did not make it. And then, of course, tears would fall down my face because I have a love for the burn survivors, the burn patient, as well as domestic violence. So when From Ashes to Beauty was birthed, it was because that's where my heart is.
Mm-hmm. And a wonderful heart you have, ma'am. Yes. Okay, so tell us a little bit more about the program and how you seek, or how does one find you if they feel they need your type of services?
Well, we do have brochures. We're on Facebook. We're on Facebook. We do programs. So we're always doing something that out in the community. How do you find me? Well, first of all, let me give you my phone number. From Ashley to Beauty, the phone number is 910-603. That's my number, 910-603-0546. The Ashley to Beauty phone number is 910-986-3658.
Okay, and so this phone number is available to those who are seeking assistance from domestic violence. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Tell us, I do believe your program offers some type of event. Is that right, on an annual basis?
Yes.
Okay, tell us a little bit about that.
The event that we offer on an annual basis is, first of all, we've done for 7 years the Celebration of Life. Celebration of Life is an event where we have speakers that come out, and these speakers, they share their story. See, that's the thing. I want people to understand. I'm not the only person that has a story. Mm-hmm. I just choose to share mine, to be that one voice for many. There are other people with stories, but we also know that sometimes people don't feel comfortable, with doing, sharing their story.
Yes, ma'am. So
sometimes open the doors and allowing people to come together. You just never know who may walk through those doors.
Right.
Somebody may need to hear somebody else's story. And before long, they will find strength and understand that I am not the only one that's gone through or going through. And I have found somebody that I can relate to. And we are one when we're together. We can stand for each other. There's an old saying, together we stand, divided we fall.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're together on this. And some of the things that we do is we try to look out for each other. And some of the things that we also do in the program, I know you haven't asked me that yet.
No, go right ahead.
Well, we do like a little intake. We don't have a lot of money, but we do, because we're serious about what we're doing. Mm-hmm. We do a program. The program is From Ashes to Beauty. our events are celebration of life. We celebrate life. In January 25th, 1987, I was literally set on fire, basically left for dead, because that's destruction. You're trying to destroy something. So that's what happened then. But I choose to tell my story and stand firm and let everybody know that to God be the glory. Out of all that I've gone through with, there's no way we'll be here today if it had not been for the Lord who was on my side.
Amen.
And I know there are other people out there, sometimes you probably look at it like, well, why did I have to go through all this? God existed then, God exists now. Why did I have to go through with this? But you know what? We overcome by our testimonies, and I am sharing my testimony, and I find power in sharing my story.
Amen. Cynthia, real quick, can you tell the listeners whatever happened to that gentleman that did this awful thing to you?
Well, that gentleman that did this actually got into trouble. He got 9 years. Of course, he didn't do all of them. Didn't really quite do 3. But either way, I don't hold anything against him this day. I am free.
Amen.
I give God the praise and the glory, and I just want everybody to know that no matter what you go through with, everybody have trials and everybody have tribulations. But we have to get out of the way and let God have his way. If we try to be the person to get even, that's not going to work. And besides, when you forgive, you can live.
All right, I
I have lived through all of this, and we talking about 35 years later? And I tell you, today, I am 65 years old. Most people say I don't look my age, and I definitely don't look like what I've been through.
Amen.
So I want to tell you that, you know what? Don't worry about when people treat you wrong. Give it to God.
All right.
Stand on God's word. Read his word. And put him first in all that you do, and he will take care of everything else that you're going through with. I thank God, and I have forgiven. And people might say, well, why did she do that program? Why don't you just let it go? Well, guess what? This ain't about letting anything go. This is about doing the Greater Commission. I'm out amongst the 4 walls of the church, and I'm doing what I feel like God is leading me to do. He gave me a vision, and look at what God has done.
And I'm going to say thank you for saying you're doing it outside the 4 walls of the church. I'm not down in the church at all. I'm a lover of church, but it's something special, or seem like there's something. I know people can go to the church and get what they need to, but it's something for, you're like that beam of light for those that don't want to go to church or don't believe in church or have no faith in church.
Right.
They can hear you outside of those 4 walls, and that I think is very, very important. Cynthia, thank you for coming in to share your incredible story with us today.
God.
And I'm going to have you repeat your phone number again, because I'm pretty sure there's somebody that need you, and from beauty to ashes. Excuse me, from ashes to beauty.
Praise God.
Uh-huh.
My phone number is 910-986, Ashley Beauty, 986-3658.
Okay, thank you. Terrance Harris, thank you again for coming
Yes, ma'am.
to
Thank
share
you.
your incredible story with us.
Yeah.
Terrance, there's so much evil going on in the world today. We have a lot of young people in your age group who are choosing to experience either trying drugs or selling them. And you have chosen to walk away from all of that.
Praise God.
I want to ask you today, if you had the opportunity to tell these people today what not to do, what would you say?
I would tell them, the youth, I would tell them if you have an opportunity not to sell drugs, if you have an opportunity to make it out and do right and become a better person, I would tell you to do that. Because it ain't all what it seems to be, and in the long run, you'll end up, nowhere. And the things I know now, the things that I would have known when I was younger, I would be in great shape. But Yeah, just stay focused, man. Just stay focused, and anybody can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it.
Praise God.
Yeah, that's it. You know, get your credit right. Get things established. And be real. Get things established, and then keep your credit right. Pay your bills on time. All that stuff plays a factor out here. If nobody never told you all, you know, do that, and you'll see the outcome in the long run.
Yes.
I trust me. I promise you.
And if they get a little weary about it, and they feel like they got to do it,
Call on God. Lean on God.
All right.
Okay.
That's all you got to do.
That's
and
right.
tell them how they got to do. What are the steps of calling on God or leaning
You don't
on God
have to
if
go
they
to
don't?
church every single Sunday. You don't have to be perfect. God's saved me plenty of times, multiple times. My mom praying for me, all her prayers. So it's got me through a lot of humps I didn't even know I was going to get through. A lot of times I got through situations I didn't know I was going to get through. But I know it was all because of God.
Amen.
Okay.
Praise
Tell
God.
us, out of all your favorite recipes, which is the best for you? Which is your most favorite?
So my favorite recipe, I got to go with chicken and rice.
Chicken and rice.
Yeah, simple boiled plain chicken and rice.
All right.
It's really one of my favorites.
Okay. And on the dessert side?
On the dessert side, actually, even though I enjoy making the banana puddings, I like a good pecan pie.
Okay. Well, you're going to have to let me try that pecan pie. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, I am a witness to the banana pudding. I love it. It's really, really good. Okay. All right. This concludes our show. Again, thank you, Cynthia Hart. Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Terrance Harris,
ma'am.
for taking
Thank-
time out of your
Thank
schedule
you for having
Thank
me here.
you
to
for
be
having
here
us.
on Chat
Yes.
City.
Appreciate it.
And I wish you both continued success. Thank you for tuning in on Chat City. Meet us back here next Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you for listening to us on Oak 93.5 FM, WRLY, Raleigh, North Carolina.
To God be the glory. Yes.
Oak 93.5 is a low-power FM service brought to you by Triangle Access Broadcasting, a nonprofit corporation, WRLY LP, Raleigh.
Oak 93.5.